Good morning and welcome to LindaZ's Thursday morning. This morning I'd like to delve into the world of quilts kits. So kits for quilts. I've got one right here in front of me. It's an actually big one. Why is it so big? It's because this is a kit that has all flannel fabrics inside. And so I wanted to do a two-part series, and the reason I have to do two parts is because I will have to pre-wash what's inside this kit before I can then go ahead and start cutting it and putting it together. And so I just wanted to do a kit reveal. This particular kit is Tim Holtz fabric from Free Spirit. It's from his collection Wonderland. We do have I think two more of these in the store. So if you end up liking this one a lot, so it's a bunch of flannel Christmas trees, and it's neutrals and almost towards a masculine type of a fabric tone. But let's go ahead and discover the fabrics that are inside, because you're going to find that they are really, really unique and really, really beautiful. So here, I'll start opening up our kit. Okay, so these kits that we have, a kit would contain everything that you need to make the top of the quilt. Sorry about all this noise of the tape here, taking the tape off. So it would contain all of the fabric that you need for the quilt top. And then sometimes they contain the fabric that you can use and oftentimes there's enough fabric for you to piece together a binding. But that's not required usually on kits, is to have the binding or the backing, right? So what I like to do is I like to piece my tops first, the quilt itself, I like to piece it all together, and then depending on if I had a scant 1/4 inch seam throughout the entire quilt, or if it was more than a 1/4 inch seam, depending on what machine I'm using, depending on if I've been, doing a great job with my seam allowances and everything, the top might not be exactly the same size that they say in their pattern. And so I like to judge by what I've put together before I go ahead and buy my backing and my batting. So that's just me, but that's how I like to do that. So let's go ahead and the other thing that comes in the kit is a pattern usually, right? So if you can see, this is a pattern that was made using a different fabric. So the colors on this pattern are not the same as, so you want to keep this, if you end up buying this actual kit from us, because I think we'll put that on the video here. We'll put a link to be able to purchase this. So the first two lucky people will be able to get this actual kit. But what they do is they explain what pieces and then you can see in the picture which of the pieces would go where of the fabric in this different fabric than was in the actual fabric that the person who made the pattern, they were thinking of their other fabric. But I just love this fabric. So let's go ahead and discover the fabric. It's from Tim Holtz, again, Free Spirits. Beautiful fabrics here. So let me throw this away. We've got the largest piece, of course, when you see this picture again, the largest piece we're going to have is the cream-colored background. So that's a lot of the fabric. So that's my biggest piece underneath here. That's going to be this fabric, this is all flannel. It's so soft. It's beautiful. And it does have words all over it. It says the night before Christmas, gift, baby, it's cold outside, dashing through the snow, silver bells, peace and joy. There's all kinds of really cool words on here that are Christmas oriented. And then the next biggest piece is going to be the outer binding. I'll show that to you again. So it's that big outer binding going all the way around the quilt. That's going to be this really pretty print. And again, this is a flannel. And you have things that say like December 25th and just really cool retro type of Christmas type of designs. So that's that outer border. And then the inner border is this check down here. So it's going to be the bigger check. So that will be this check, which is beautiful. So you've got that is your third biggest piece. And then we go into the pieces for all of the trees, right? So, and I guess we could look at the pattern, but you've got really pretty green and red pieces and cream-colored snowflakey pieces and flowery greens for Christmas, and you've got some holly with white and green and red. A lot of this is retro. It's quite fun. This is a smaller check. This is going to be some of the Christmas trees. This is also like a Christmas tree kind of, you can see one or two of them actually do have stripes on there, these two on the picture. So this is a stripy kind of a fabric. This is kind of fun, very fun. And then this black flannel is the tree trunks of the trees. And then there's some green, it looks like there's a green tree. But this, maybe this is what they're considering for the binding. Here, let's go ahead and, I don't see a green binding on the picture, but let's see what they say on the back. K is the flannel pine fresh, and it's 2/3 of a yard. Doesn't say if it is for, includes the binding. And where's my star for includes the binding? Oh, so the 25th, the multicolored 3 yards. Oh, so the binding is the outer border. So it is included in there. So the binding is that fabric for this particular quilt. And if you wanted to get backing, we do have some really pretty flannels at the store. We also have some really pretty fleeces and some cuddle. So those are some pretty fun colors of those too. So I'd really like to, then for the preparation purposes, I'm actually going to throw this in the wash and put it in the dryer until damp. And then I'll let it lay flat to dry, and I'll actually press this fabric before I begin. So the reason I'm doing that is because the batting and the backing that I will choose at some point will also have to, the batting I don't pre-wash, but I could, I suppose. I just like the idea of this having that already washed feel before I actually quilt it. So that's just me. You don't have to actually do that before you start cutting out your trees and your things like that. But in the trunks and the sashings and the backing, the background. But here, let's go ahead and open up the pattern, and we'll see what else we have to do to prepare for this quilt. So it's only piecing and no applique. We do know that about this one. So it does separate out into the amount of trees. This is a color chart using that other fabric, so I can set that aside. I don't really, unless it says background, black number 1, black, yeah, no, they have pinks and things like that in there. So that's not quite gonna help us, that color chart there. But they do have diagrams for each set of trees. Looks like there are 3 different trees. Tree number 1, tree number 2, and tree number 3. So why don't we get into that in our next video? So it looks like they're going to talk about how to cut those. So that what we would need, materials, and they say to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then they have a diagram of how we set it all out. And if they want us to use, we can use a template to create the one piece tree. So they do have a template in here to cut out the tree, and we would just tape those 2 pieces together, because it looks like they have a really great way of doing that with a red line. So you match up the red lines, and then you have your perfect triangle, which would be the, can we turn that around? I don't know if you can see that. Actually, are we seeing from above out here too? Okay, so you can see a red line here and a red line on the other part, the other half, because the entire tree wouldn't fit on one piece of 8.5 by 11 paper. So we would want to align those, tape those together, and then we could trim out that piece on the dotted line here. And they have a second tree that would be used for other cutting purposes. So we can go ahead and do that the next time. We also need our 40 weight. I always like to use my Aurifil cotton thread. So how do we know it's 40 weight? We know by the orange spools that it's 40 weight. It's perfect weight for, well, there's also the 60 weight can also be used, or even the 80 weight can be used for piecing. But I like the 50 weight here. So this is, did I say 50? Orange is 50 weight, yeah. And this is my go-to for piecing. So this is what I will use in both the bobbin and the upper thread. We'll need a rotary cutter. I love these Quilter Select rotary cutters. You can be lefty and righty and use the same rotary cutter. And then, of course, you might want to have some extra blades on hand because when a blade gets dull, there's nothing worse than a dull blade when you're trying to cut through some fabric. And so always have a couple blades handy, snippets, and my machine of choice will be, I'm going to keep going on my Juki TL18 QVP over here. I love this machine. It is a workhorse, and so we'll be doing that next time. So just wanted to remind you all that we definitely do have our Black Friday sales going on right now at the store, and I've seen a couple of the emails that our marketing team is preparing, and they look pretty great. So believe me, if you're in the market for your first machine, your second machine, your third machine, or your 17th machine, it is really a great time to buy a sewing machine right now from LindaZ. So look forward to seeing you at the store, and everyone take care, and we'll see you next time.